Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Zekko Football channel. Today we're going to be grading Premier League transfers. In this instance, we are talking about the mighty Arsenal. We're going to be going through their outgoings and incomings and grading them on this list. As you can see, we have our grades, we have our players. But before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, please make sure that you subscribe, you like the video, and turn on those notifications so that we may see each other once more. Right, let's get into it. Our first player that we're going to be talking about is Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Now, he has been released. He's out. Finished. Finito. Done. He has not commanded a transfer fee, and Arsenal and him have run his contract down. So he's left. He's just gone. And while this isn't essentially massive news, I am pretty disappointed. He has so much talent, and he had so much talent coming through. I thought they'd be able to get more out of him. Not necessarily from a transfer fee perspective, but just as a player. Nobody's ever given him the time of day, nobody's ever trusted him in a system or a role, and that's partially down to him. He was too versatile. He played in a numerous amount of positions, and I never thought that he really established himself as either a centre-back, or a right-back, or a right-winger, or a centre midfielder, and it seemed like he chopped and changed a little bit too much, and eventually it caught up with him, to the point where he didn't really succeed at Roma, and he's failed to find a club as a free agent. It's very, very disappointing, but from an Arsenal perspective, I suppose he's off of the wages, and it means that they can reinvest that into someone else. It's just a bit disappointing, and it makes me a little sad. Right, let's move on to one of the incomings. Probably the most divisive character in this lot is Kai Havertz. Where do you sit on the Kai Havertz fence? Where are you? Let me know in the comment section below what you think about Kai Havertz, because, he is dividing opinion, isn't he? I actually quite like this signing. However, for a fee of 75 million euros, it's quite a lot. Especially when you think that Chelsea, I believe, paid around about 90 for him. So they haven't really lost too much money, and he hasn't performed great. He's had about 3 seasons in the Premier League, and he's failed to really achieve all too much. He did score that one massive goal in the Champions League for Chelsea, but apart from that, has he really achieved all too much? And when you think about he's going to be the Granit Xhaka replacement, I wonder whether there's a little bit too much on his shoulders. I think he's a quality player, and in a system that works for him, I think he can really fit. But for 75 million euros, is that a bit too much of a gamble? Arsenal fans, I need you to let me know. From my opinion, I think he'll be a good central attacking midfielder, but I think he'll take time to bed into this Arsenal system, and I think that generally going forwards, the pressure might mount on him a little bit too much, but that's going a little bit too far into the future. Kai Havertz, I think, is a good signing, but for the fee, there's no way he can be an A. It's got to be a B from me. Let's talk about another outgoing, and that is Pablo Mari. Now, there needs to be something said about Pablo Mari. He's been sold for 5 million euros, generally. And when you think that Arsenal paid an 8 million euro loan fee, and then they paid a 6 million purchasing fee, they've actually spent 14 million on this player. And he hasn't played anything, really. He's barely featured. I understand he was a stopgap, but they've lost money on him, and really, I don't think it's a great thing. Generally, I don't think he's a bad player, but he was never going to get the game time, so I'm torn between a C or a D. I actually don't think the signing is too good, and I think they could have got a little bit more money for him. However, in the current market, I suppose you could argue that it was just and they needed to get him off the wages. I'm willing to debate that one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, because Pablo Mari, he was never going to be a player for Arsenal, really, was he? But 5 million seems like a small amount. And again, he's off the wages. Debate, please. Let's continue. Let's talk about Jurrien Timber. Jurrien Timber, 40 million euros. I think this is an absolute steal. Genuinely. When Manchester United were looking at him last season, I thought he would be a really good signing for them. Obviously, he did not make that move, but he's now made the move to the Arsenal. And I think this is fantastic for both him and Arsenal. He can play in an inverted fullback role. He can play towards the midfield. He can drift inside, but also maintain his position as a centre-back. He plays out from the back, very much like a Saliba, and he also reads the game very well, and he's very aggressive. all of the things that I think Arsenal need in modern day football. And for a fee as low, and yes it is low, as 40 million euros, for me it's an absolute steal, and it has to be an A. Right, let's keep this moving because we need to talk about one of the outgoings again. Granit Xhaka. Now, I talked about Kai Havertz possibly being the player that divided the most opinion, and I think he's got a run for his money with Granit Xhaka, especially when you consider all of the drama that has followed him throughout his Arsenal career. But, last season he played 37 matches in the Premier League. That is quite a lot, obviously, with one fewer than every single game. And in that time he got 7 goals and 7 assists. Now that's 14 goal contributions. And when you start to add it up, he's a central attacking midfielder for Arsenal. 14 goal contributions. Is Kai Havertz going to get that? I'm not sure. And definitely in his first season, I think you could argue that the jury would be out on whether he gets that amount of goal contributions. And so for that reason, and considering that Arsenal only got 15 million euros for a key player, a leader in the squad, a very big asset when it comes to driving these young players forward, I'm struggling to see where the experience is coming from in this Arsenal squad now. Granit Xhaka was a huge voice, and although you do have some speakers like Aaron Ramsdale, and although you do have Mikel Arteta trying to guide them forwards, they're all very young, Arteta included for being a manager. Granit Xhaka was one of the players that really dragged people together. He told them what they needed to do and kept a level and steady, calm head. He's now gone. And I wonder if Arsenal face the same kind of adversity that they did last season. Without Granit Xhaka, I think things could be a bit different. And for only 15 million, I've got to say, I think this is a terrible move for Arsenal. I really do. I think they need him, especially for a Premier League push. Now, perhaps he wants to play first-team football, and maybe Mikel Arteta had the idea of Kai Havertz before Xhaka left. But if he wanted to play regularly, I'm sure there was some kind of compromise that Arsenal and Xhaka could have come to be able to keep him in the team. Because for me, he needs to stay, or he needed to stay, especially to give that experience to those younger lads. Honestly, that's a shocker one. That's a shocker. Sell him next season, fine. But for only 15 million, is it really worth it? Would you lose out on 15 million to keep the experience of Granit Xhaka? I would. I really would. It's a big loss for Arsenal. Big loss. It's an E for me. Poor deal. Finally, let's talk about the main man, and that is Declan Rice. Oh, Declan. Rice, baby. Right. Declan Rice. Honestly, he's a top quality talent. But is he worth £116 million? The categorical answer to that is no, really, isn't it? But is he a player that Arsenal need? And that is yes. He is definitely what Arsenal need. He's a quality player, he's homegrown, and is he paying for that? Is he paying for the fact that it's the English tax, that he's homegrown? Yes, of course. But I can't put him as an A, I don't think. And I can't put him as an A because I don't think he's worth the money. And yes, the market has been inflated by Enzo Fernandez and the £100 million euro sale. But really, I think Arsenal could have negotiated that a little bit better. And there is a bigger question as well. Yes, Declan Rice improves them, but do they need him? Do you know what I'm saying? Do they need him? Really? With Partey, you're not moving Partey on. You're not moving... Well, you are moving Xhaka on, but you have Kai Havertz to play in a central attacking midfield role. You also have Odegaard. You also have Vieira. You also have Trossard. Do you need Declan Rice? The double pivot is a thing that you could do now, but Timber could play there. Declan Rice obviously improves Arsenal, but does the €100 million fee seem worth it? I think they've overpaid a little bit. And the fact that they've overpaid means that I think he's a B. The quality of signing is an A for me, but the deal itself, I don't think, is as good as it could possibly have been. And those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, whether you agree or disagree with my just general discussion. I'd love to hear from you, so please do let me know. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, you like the video, and turn on those notifications. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.